If you are brand new to editing and a total newbie, this video is for you. I'm going to teach you to use CapCut. So once you've downloaded CapCut for desktop, not the online version, not the mobile version, but the one you download that's on your computer, it's going to look like this once you open it. The first thing you want to do is click on New Project, and you need media, need something to edit. Lucky for you, I've recorded a short video. It's going to end up being about 45 seconds long. And I've also given you some of my travel channel footage from when I was doing the RV thing. And we're going to edit it right now. First, we need to import the footage. We're going to click on Import in this window right here. We're going to jump over to this folder that says free. That's all the free stuff that I'm giving you that you can download. Link in the description. Download it right now so you don't forget. And bam, we have this folder in this window here. Now, I'm not going to cover all of this stuff here, just the basics so you can get started, so you can start editing like today, like right now. So to see what's in that folder, we double click on it and we see all of this footage in this list format. We can also look at it in a grid format by clicking on this icon right here. There's advantages to both. We'll cover that a little bit in a second. Now, the first thing we want to do is not cover all these windows. We're just going to cover them as we get to them. We want to edit the A-roll. I made one take of me talking to the camera. That's the A-roll, the main footage. That we need to edit first. To do that, we find it, and it's this guy right here. As I scroll over these, you see these little plus signs. Those plus signs allow us to add the video footage to the timeline. That's this section right down here. This is where we do all of our editing. So I can either click that plus sign to add the whole thing down here, or I can just simply click and drag it down here. I'm going to be sharing with you keystrokes. They're going to make your life easier. You want to learn to use the keystroke. They'll make you faster. The first keystroke is Shift-Z. It lets you see the entire timeline. It shows the entire timeline. So it's Shift-Z, and bam, I see the entire timeline. Sometimes you're zoomed way in. If I click and scroll like this, I'm zoomed way in. I can't see what's over here. Hit Shift-Z, I can see it all. Now, I zoomed in one way. There are multiple ways to zoom in. The way I always zoom in is by holding down the Command key on my Mac or the Control key on my PC and using the scroll wheel on my mouse right here. So if I hold down the Command key here, since I'm on a Mac, I can zoom out and I can zoom in. You can also use the minus sign here to zoom out or the plus sign to zoom in, or just drag this guy. But why do that when you can just use your mouse and a keystroke? It's going to make you so much faster. So Shift-Z. Now we need to start editing this. You'll notice that we have one track of video, and underneath it, connected to it, is a track of audio. You can see the waveforms and you can see the spaces. The spaces when I was looking at my notes so I could prepare to say the next line. I'm not reading a script. I'm not using a teleprompter. I'm just looking at my outline and delivering it in a kind of conversational way that is hopefully more relatable than just reading a script. So we want to get rid of all the bad parts. A lot of people get all hung up in editing. It's like, oh, it's so complicated, like music and sound effects and graphics and all this fancy stuff. Editing's simple. It's just putting one video clip after another video clip. That's 90% of it. All the other stuff is just fluff. What matters is putting the video clips in an order that's going to tell a story that's going to make people feel something. So let's just do that. Let's just get rid of all the bad stuff. So I'm going to zoom in here so I can see where I start to speak. And I'm going to position my playhead. This thing here is called the playhead. And I'm going to position it right here when I start to speak. Now I need to add an edit here. I need to cut it right here and delete this section here. There are several ways to do that. One way is to use these tools. I tend not to use the split tool here. You can type the letter B or click here and I can just make a cut. You get a little razor blade. Don't do that. I wouldn't even start doing that because it's going to make you slow. You want to do it the right way, the way professionals do it in Hollywood, the way it's going to make you faster. The keystroke to add an edit right here, to cut it there, is Command B on a Mac or Control B on a PC. Bam, I cut it. And now we have two clips, 1, 2. I can delete that one. And because I have the track magnet on, guess what's going to happen? That's all going to slide over. It's a magnet that sucks everything to the left, so there's no spaces ever. And this is the icon for the track magnet. That's off. That's on. The keystroke for the track magnet is P. We're going to leave it on right now. And when I hit delete, it deleted it and slid everything over. That's great, right? But there's a better way to do it. I'm going to show you in a minute. So let's check this and see if it works. Living full-time in an RV isn't always the blissful adventure you see on YouTube. Okay, so I want to add another edit here because I'm looking down. I want to get rid of the bad stuff. So I'm going to hit Command B on my Mac, Control B on my PC, add another edit, and then I'm going to resume speaking here, and I might have had a couple takes. Let's see what I'm saying here. We bought this vent, and I think that's a good take. And what I do is I just jump ahead and see where the last take was. We traveled with. So we bought is right here. Now I could use the razor blade, or I could hit Command B here, or I could use the keystroke that you need to start using, which is, if you watch my videos, you know what it is. It will add an edit and delete all of this and slide it all over because the track magnet is on. The keystroke is Q. Watch this. Bam. And now let's just check the edit and see if we like it. YouTube. We bought this vandalized RV and renovated it. That works pretty great, I think. So I'm going to see what this next line is. We traveled with one of our daughters. We bought this. And is this we traveled here? We traveled with one of our daughters. And is it we traveled again? This is. Nope, it's just this one right here. So what do? Now if I hit Q right now, it's going to delete even this. I don't want to delete that. So I have to add an edit right here, make a cut or add an edit right there. Command B. And then I'm going to go over here. And now, because I have an edit there, I can type the letter Q again and add an edit, delete all of that. Q. Bam. Let's check that one. Home. We traveled with one of our daughters who slept in this loft up here, so space was kind of tight. And I'm just going to do one more so you can see how you do it. Now, one thing to notice. Right now, we only have one track of video connected to one track of audio. And I do not need to highlight this to cut it with keystrokes. But if I have this on a track above it and it's not highlighted, if I hit Command B, watch this, nothing happens. No content. In the main video at the current frame, couldn't split video. So if I want to cut something on another track, I have to highlight it first. I'm going to position my player where I want it to go. I'm going to highlight it by clicking on it. And then now if I hit Command B or Control B, bam, it'll add the edit there. And that's not how we want to do it though, because right now we are just trimming up all the airwell. We're going to keep it all nice and clean and even. We have this good edit here, and we're going to see how this ends. So space was kind of tight. And now let's see what's next. This is our room. Yeah, you can. So I say this is our room. So what do? We're doing it one more time so you get good at this. Command B, and then I go over here, and what letter I type? The letter Q. Bam, adds an edit, slides it over. Now, if I add an edit and the track magnet is not on, I'll turn it off by clicking here or typing the letter P. I'm going to type letter P. Bam. Notice that it turned it off. If I type Q now, guess what happens? It just leaves a big space there, which is fine. And that's how I actually edited in Hollywood. I did not use the track magnet. Premiere Pro doesn't even have one, so I never use that. But in CapCut, it's kind of nice for this first pass. Once you get more than one layer here, I would always turn the track magnet off because it gets very wonky and things will get out of sync very quickly if you keep that track magnet on once you have more than one layer. But with only one layer and just me speaking, I'll just turn it on and watch what'll happen. Bam, it sucks it over. So now I'm going to trim up the rest of this, and then we're going to add a little bit of B-roll. I've trimmed all of this up, and you might notice that I do have one clip on another track of this air conditioner. And I'm talking about this air conditioner getting loud, so I wanted to hear it, but I wanted to overlap me speaking just a tiny bit. So that I could overlap, I put it on this track above, and right now it sounds like this. Very loud. But I did have an... So it sounds very loud, and it's okay. But we could fade it up. And the way you fade up audio in CapCut is you click on these little circles right here and just drag them over just a little bit. And that makes it just a tiny bit smoother. And it sounds like this. Very loud. But I did have an... And while we're on the topic of audio, you'll notice that it looks like I have good audio. You can look at these levels and you can kind of tell that they're reaching just under the video, and it sounds not bad, but I can make it a little bit better very easily in CapCut. Now, we're not going to cover all of the things you can do in this panel over here, just a few things. And one of them is making the audio sound better. So I'm going to highlight all of these. So anything I do here will affect all those clips at once. And I'm going to click on audio, and I'm going to scroll down to loudness normalization. That just raises all the levels and makes them all even. It raises them to a level that's going to be pretty loud, but it's not going to clip. Clipping means it goes too loud and it gets red and distorted. You never want it distorted, never too loud. That's bad. We want it to sound good, so I'm just going to click on this and watch these levels as I click on it. Loudness normalization, bam. Notice they all got a little higher, a little bit of orange, and I can see what the levels are if I play it. It's back here, and it was pretty cool by looking at this meter here, and this meter's kind of worthless and small. You're like, how can you really see the levels? Well, you just click on it, and bam, the audio meter appears here, and we have a goal. Our goal is once we add all the music, sound effects, anything we do, we want this to not go over 0. We want it to peak at -1 decibels. So with loudness normalization on, I'm going to hit play. With the door open and a view of the lake. Now the view is of our little... And now it's clipping, pretty close to -1, -2. That's pretty much exactly where we want the audio levels to be. Now let's add a little bit of B-roll. B-roll is just anything other than the main video, the A-roll. B-roll is when I'm talking about a tree, I show a tree. Talk about an RV, I show an RV. That's all it means. It's nothing fancy, just means something besides the main dude talking. And I've given you a bunch of this B-roll here. Let's see what I say in the beginning and what would maybe work for that. Living full-time in an RV isn't always the blissful adventure you see on YouTube. So blissful adventure you see on YouTube, so let's just show a drone shot of an RV. So I'm gonna scroll down here and look for that drone shot. It's this one right here. And I can drag it to the timeline like that, and it's gonna bring me the entire clip, or I can hit the plus sign, and when you hit the plus sign, it's gonna add it to the first available track. So I'm gonna hit that plus sign, and bam, it added to the first available track. It's also gonna position it where the playhead is. This is the playhead, it was right there, so put it there, but I didn't want it there. I'm gonna zoom in and try to figure out where I do want it. So as soon as I say, isn't always the blissful, I'm about to say blissful. So I'm just gonna drag it to blissful, and that's actually perfect, watch this. The blissful adventure you see on YouTube. So there's the blissful adventure we had in YouTube, possibly in Arkansas when we were traveling across country. One thing you may notice is kind of jarring. You have this white line around the player window. And obviously you probably have noticed that the player window just shows you everything in the timeline. It also can show you what's over here in the media window. When I click on something here, it'll show me that as well and just automatically start playing. So to get rid of this white line, I just click anywhere besides on the clip. Anywhere else in the timeline, and bam, the white line around this goes away, the white line around here goes away. Now when I hit play, it looks way less jarring. Blissful adventure you see on YouTube. So that looks great. Now let's add another B-roll clip. See on YouTube. We bought this vandalized RV and renovated it. So I said we bought this vandalized RV and renovated it. So I want to show a shot of the RV vandalized and then renovated. And I grabbed a clip from one of my YouTube videos where I do the reveal of this, and you have access to it right here. And it is this guy right here. Now I can click and start playing it, and I did not include any audio because you don't need it here. And here's some like before and after stuff on that. Now I could hit the plus sign and it'll put it in the timeline on the first available track. And because it's 30 seconds long, this track wasn't fully available, so put it on track 3. I could edit it down here, which is probably what I'll normally do, but you can also do this. You can edit it right here in the media window by clicking on it and just dragging this playhead over until you get to the beginning of what you want to use. Now I want to use maybe this section right here, which shows what our RV looked like when I first got it, and then end it on that there. Now we're just choosing the beginning part of this clip. The beginning part of the clip is called the in point. The end of the portion of the clip you want to use is called the out point. It's the same in every video editing program. Now I can do this by dragging this blue line to do it, or I can use keystrokes that you're going to want to use, which are J, K, and L. J plays the clip backwards, K stops the clip, L plays the clip forwards, and that gives you a lot of control. If I click J once, it goes backwards. If I click it again, it goes at double speed. And in the timeline, I can go up to like 16 speed, but only double speed up here in the media window. So I use J, K, and L to navigate to the beginning of the clip that I want to use. So I'm just going to click L, and to go to the beginning. I want to show the broken part right there, so around there. And to add an in point, to mark this as the beginning of the clip, I just type the letter I for in point, and it's convenient because it's right over J, K, and L. Tap I, that's now the in point, and I'm going to go ahead until the end of this that I want to use. And what do you think I type to mark the out point? It begins with an O. If I want this blue line to go to right here to be the part I'm selecting, I just type the letter O, and now I just have this part selected. To add that to the timeline, I just drag the playhead to right where I want to put it, and I just type on this plus sign, and it will add just the part I edited with the I and the O to the timeline. And then I can see if that's right, if I like it. So let's have a look. See on YouTube. We bought this vandalized RV and renovated it. So I said renovated, and it's still showing the not renovated. So I want to get rid of a little bit of this beginning. So I'm just going to just click here, and I can drag it over and remove some of that. So I'm just going to click and drag to the right. And let's see if we're a little closer. Adventure you see on YouTube. We bought this vandalized RV and renovated it. So it's a little bit late still, so I'm just going to drag that in point to the right a little bit to delete a little bit more of that footage. and just drag that over. Let's see it again. On YouTube. We bought this vandalized RV and renovated it to make it look like a home. So that works great. Now to get rid of this part, because I don't want to show the inside of the RV anymore, I can type the letter B and delete it, or I can use another keystroke to add an edit point, to add a cut here and delete this. So to get rid of that, I type the letter right next to Q. Remember, Q adds an edit, deletes everything to the left. W adds an edit, deletes everything to the right. So just type the letter W, and because this is highlighted, bam, it deleted that, and we're back to my face. So let's look at this first little section here. The blissful adventure you see on YouTube. We bought this vandalized RV and renovated it to make it look like a home. We traveled with one of our daughters who slept in this loft up here. So we're going to add one more B-roll clip. Slept in this loft up here. That's this clip right here. So when I say this loft, in this loft, who slept in. So we could do the same thing. We could, use JK and L and I and O and find the beginning end of what we're going to use. Or we could drag these guys. Or there's one more thing we can do that gives us a little more control. We could just go to the list view by clicking on list and scrolling down to that clip of Kaylin's loft. It's already highlighted. And now I've got a little more control. I can see it a little bit better. So I'm just going to type L, and I just want it to be right after I start moving. So right around there. And I'm going to go forward a little bit, go double speed a little bit, bam. And right when I say, who slept in this. So I say this loft. So I'm just going to go to the loft, hit the plus sign because it's exactly where I want it to start. Click off of it to get rid of that white line. Slept in this loft, slept in this. And I'm pretty picky. It was like a couple frames late, so I'm going to drag it back a couple frames and try slept in this loft up here. So space was kind of tight. And one thing you want to do, you want to maybe overlap clips a little bit so that it doesn't end exactly when I stop talking, but there's a little bit of overlap one way or another. So here, it's kind of tight. This is our room. So I said, this is our room, and I still saw Kaylin's loft a little bit, and that's okay. It makes it flow a little bit better. So I say, this is our room. This is the last B-roll clip I'm going to add, then I'll do it all and show you a couple more things. So we're going to use JK and L and go to our room. This is our room before. Look at that before. That was brutal. We slept in it like that when we first got it, when it was all broken. I didn't even know how to get the jacks on it. Even disconnected from the truck. We were in some random RV park and sleeping in this thing when it was all hammered. So that's the before, but I want the after. Bam, there's the after, and that looks great. Go into the room, use JK and L to get to the beginning. I'm going to type the letter I, or I did type the letter I to mark the end point. You can see that it's going to start right here. Then I'm going to type L again, and this is our room, and I'll stop it, type the letter O, and I'm just going to hit the plus sign to add it to the track right there, and let's see if it lines up. This is our room, and there was not much privacy. Yeah, you can hear everything. All right, so before I add the rest of the B-roll, I want you to notice that there is a lot more that CapCut can do. We're not going to cover any of this stuff in the video right now, but I cover all of this in my course, Edit with Trev and Master CapCut. And I strongly suggest if you're serious about YouTube and you want to learn to edit and get great at editing, you can learn from a Hollywood editor how to use this very simple program in like 2 days. So click on the link that's either up here or up here. I never know where it is. And check out my course, Edit with Trev and Master CapCut. By the way, in the course, I also teach you the 10 things you need to do with every single video to get more views and more subscribers. Like, do the 10 things. Most people won't because people just don't want to do stuff, but I tell you exactly what to do. Do the 10 things, you get more views and more subscribers with every single video. I promise you get all your money back. So check out the link in the description or go to mastercapcut.com. And that's more B-roll. I'll be right back. Okay, I've added all the B-roll, and if you've been following along, I wonder if yours looks similar to mine. You'll see the whole thing in a second. So we have me speaking, the A-roll. We have all of the B-roll. We don't have any volume for any of the B-roll except for a couple of these where you can hear me clicking a button and you can hear the generator going, little sound there, and that air conditioning thing. And remember to get rid of any audio. If you wanted to get rid of this audio, you just zoom in on it so you can see it, and then you would just drag it down here. Remember we did that earlier. Undo with Command Z. Or you can also click on audio and just drag this all the way down if you wanted to. So we're just going to leave it right where it is because it sounded pretty good already. Now, the next thing we're going to do is add music. I mean, the most important thing is telling a story and adding a cut every second or two just to make it flow. When you're making videos, you really want to add a bunch of cuts in the beginning, something new every second or two, whether it's a new graphic, music, sound effects, a different video, just to keep people's interest, especially on YouTube, because people have very short attention spans. And on TikTok and on YouTube Shorts, you want to go even faster. And it all depends on your audience and your content and stuff. If you have an older, slower audience, they'll want me to talk probably way, way slower, and you can have less cuts, but you want to tailor it to your audience. So to make this even better, to make your audience feel something, which is really the goal of any video you create. If you can make them feel something, if you know what that emotion is beforehand, it's going to make a huge difference in your edit. So I want people to feel like, kind of excited and happy and fun about this RV life thing. So I'm going to add some music that kind of goes with that. You click on audio here and you type whatever you're looking for. In my case, I found an audio track that I like, and it's Mountain or The Mountain or something. It's right here. Have a listen. That's kind of great for an RV traveling around the country thing. So you just can click the plus sign, but what's it going to do? If I click this plus sign, where's that audio going to go? Where do you think? Well, it adds tracks as you need them. You can have multiple video tracks, and whichever thing is on top is the thing you see, because here on top, you see this generator. You don't see me because that's on top. If I put something else there, you wouldn't see the generator. You see what was on top. And for audio, it adds the audio at the first available audio track, which is right here below, and it does it right where the playhead is. So if I hit the plus sign here, it's going to add it right where I told it to add it. First audio track where the playhead is. I don't want it there. I want it at the beginning. So I'm going to drag my playhead to the beginning and hit this plus sign, and bam, let's have a listen.
Living full-time in an RV isn't always...
What's the problem? The audio is too loud for the music. So to lower that, we could drag this down, which isn't very precise, or as I've shown you, we can just drag this down. And I found that -15 to -20 is usually pretty good. Let's go down to -15.9. Let's see how that sounds.
Living full-time in an RV isn't always the blissful adventure you see on YouTube.
And it gets a little louder here and here, so I'm going to check it there.
So we had to dump our gray tanks and our black tanks and...
That's pretty good. I kind of like the levels here, and it's kind of fun and chipper. Now, if we go to the end of the video, listen to this.
We'll never forget.
Well, the music keeps going. Well, what do we do? Well, how do we see all of this? What's that keystroke to see the whole timeline? Shift-Z, Macro PC. It's the same on DaVinci Resolve, the same on Adobe Premiere. So we want to just, maybe we could just end it there by typing what letter, add an edit, add a cut right here and delete all of that. It would be the letter, not Q, but W. Bam, it all goes away. But it sounds like this.
This we'll never forget.
Which is, it just ends abruptly. A lot of people do that. And the hack to do that is just to drag the audio out so it kind of fades out over time. And that's not bad. I got to zoom in so I can grab that thing. Come on, baby. There we go. And now it sounds, if I drag it back pretty far, it'll fade out gradually. Watch this.
Forget.
And you'd want to probably drag it back a bunch more if you're going to do this cheap way to do it.
A lot of our country and have experiences we'll never forget.
And that's just okay. It's not great. So we don't want to do that. I mean, you can when you're starting out, but I'm going to show you kind of a more advanced thing. You can skip this if you want, but to make your audio end correctly, you can either find a place in the song where there's a natural kind of ending, or just go to the very end, which is usually the easiest, and just take that, add a little cut here, put it back here, get rid of all of this stuff till about here, and then just try to line up the audio. You can listen to dun, 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 dun. So we can listen. I'm going to mute this track here. Now I can mute it by clicking on this speaker icon here. Notice that it says track muted, or I can just type the letter V. And so what you want to do is make sure it's highlighted, type the letter V, and then it mutes it without having to do anything. So that's faster. The keystroke's faster. So let's listen to this.
An office back here, and it was...
And I don't want to hear me. Let's mute me. So in my case, I'd have to highlight all these and type the letter V, but instead I could just click this so I can do the whole track. And let's listen. So maybe the end could be dun, 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 nah. Instead of this note, we could have the ending note of this thing. Let's type the letter V, and let's just take a look and see. These kind of line up pretty close, right? It's not perfect, but I'm guessing this will probably work. Let's just slide that over a tiny bit, and I'm going to highlight both of these. I'm going to hit Command B. It'll cut both tracks at once. Super cool, fancy stuff. And then click on this guy and delete them. And let's see if we got lucky in it. That was pretty good. Let's see. I think I would like it better here. Now there's things that'll work, and if you're a musician, maybe this will sound terrible, but I'm going to do that and see if that sounds better. That was pretty good. It was a little bit abrupt, so one little hack is you can just drag that back a little bit, fade this up, and then with me speaking, you're not going to really hear any kind of glitches. Let's see if that sounds good. That sounded perfect. So another couple keystrokes for you. The down arrow moves to the next edit. The up arrow moves to the previous edit. So now we're at the very end, and I'm just going to type the letter what? W to get rid of that. And now we have all of this in its perfect glory with a perfect ending. And it sounds exactly like this.
Living full-time in an RV isn't always the blissful adventure you see on YouTube. We bought this vandalized RV and renovated it to make it look like a home. We traveled with one of our daughters who slept in this loft up here, so space was kind of tight. This is our room and there was not much privacy. Yeah, you can hear everything through these hollow doors, and the doors don't even go all the way to the ground. In the beginning, we boondocked at Bear Lake for weeks, which meant we had no hookups like these. So we had to dump our gray tanks and our black tanks and fill up the water every few days. We also had to run the generator a lot to use the air conditioning, and it's very loud. But I did have an office back here, and it was pretty cool to work with the door open and a view of the lake. Now the view is of our little forest. In spite of the challenges, we're able to see a lot of our country and have experiences we'll never forget.
This last clip here is from Burning Man in Utah Element 11, which was crazy. I just got back from. That video will be posted on my travel channel. So you want to hit this link right here and subscribe so you don't miss it.